Hello, hello. I am AJ from the Aussie Guys, and I'm just waiting on some company here. But I thought I'd start the feed up because I don't want to keep people waiting if they are watching, and I am expecting some people to join. So to those in the Melbourne League and to other Scott Fish bowlers, well, our draft is almost halfway through. So I've got the draft board up here. We are at the 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're at the 11:08. Lauren is up. So as soon as she wakes up, I imagine she's going to be making her pick. And then we've got Ollie, who's in Germany, and Neil in Australia, Phoenix Rocket, guess where he's from, and the coach and commish who are going to be joining. Oh, well, I think we might get both those guys joining me today in the feed, which will be very, very cool. So just a bit of a picture. I mean, we've been, as I think I've mentioned in previous pods on this, we have 6 Aussies in our league, most of the rest being in the States, apart from Ollie, who's in Germany. And despite the different time zones, we're moving along okay. As I said, we're going to be in the next sort of couple of hours, we'll be officially halfway, finishing the bottom of the 11th round, which will be pretty cool. Not the fastest, not the slowest. Actually, let me have a look at the dashboard. Just while we're killing some time. So the slowest draft, currently the one from Anchorage, Alaska. Take that, Anchorage. They're at 6:03. So, I mean, that's slow. So Sunday night here, and I'm having a nice glass of red. So they're at 6:03. That gives you some perspective. We are doing just fine. I'm going to come back to the draft board here. It's been moving, relatively steadily. Neil's just saying, trying to get their fingers to work in the cold. It must be that. And if they're all from Anchorage, Alaska, well, who knows? I mean, look at our division, and we're not all from Melbourne, so they may not all be from Anchorage. Who knows? So, anyone's guess. All right, I'm just checking the Twitter to see, because I know that G's going to be joining me, and I'm just seeing if he's having some technical issues. Doesn't look like it. Pete's on. Let me add Pete in, and I can stop chewing the scenery. Pete, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good. I believe that Ben are going to be joining. Oh, here's G. Device is not connected. Oh, hang on. He's coming. Here he is.
What?
Aaron said he just joined.
He just joined?
Yeah.
Okay. A couple of Noah's mates are watching the stream and go, poor AJ's on there by himself. You got to help him out.
Yeah. I was chewing the scenery. So
I'm going to do something about the lights in this room. It makes me look like I'm anemic.
You need one of those. You need one of those podcast lights. No, you do have the podcast light, but it's the cold light, isn't it? You need the warm light. You need a warm light.
What's that?
Okay, G's going to go and apply some makeup. Pete, how you feeling about now? Have you had your pick in this? Yeah, you have. Noah Fant. Yeah. So you had picked Noah Fant in the 11th. Since we last spoke, I can't remember if you had Devonta Smith. I have a feeling you picked Penny, Moore, and Fant.
Yeah.
since we spoke.
Yeah. And I think Fant was one of those ones that I think I picked him and then I regretted him.
Which one, Fant?
Yeah, I like Gage and Tony probably a bit more, but I think I needed a second tight end.
Oh, for sure. In this format, you definitely want a second tight end, although there's definitely, a tier. Well, there's more than one tier. But, I think you've got to have a crack at some of them towards the end. Let me add Ben in here.
Yeah, maybe not Noah Fant, though.
I think my regret was made stronger by G's comment.
I found it quite funny that because I read the same thing about Rashad Penny.
Yeah,
and look, to be honest, if you look at it, I think it was his last 5 games he ran amok. I wouldn't think if he was what was he like the second best running back or at least top 5. I don't exactly off the top of my head.
Yeah,
running back at the end of the season. So if he can finally put that first round, well, I never thought he should have been a first round pick anyway, but that's neither here or there. But if he can carry that on to the start, to next season, mate, you've got a guy. But they went out and got Walker, but I think they're going to run the hell out of the football.
Yeah.
So and he can stay healthy, but. I did read that and I thought, geez, do I go and grab him? I'm not a fan.
No.
And then you took him before me. So you were the pick before me. So and the other one I was going to is Kareem Hunt. So I'm sort of weighing starting running back, what is he, a 1B sort of in Kareem Hunt. And you made the choice for me, which is always good sometimes. That sort of takes it out of my hands. So
Gee, that is the whole point of these middle rounds. You're just waiting for someone else to make a decision for you. And then, thank God, thank you, thanks for doing that. I'll take him off my board.
AJ did grab me on another one. Who did you? Tony Pollard would have been.
Yeah,
right before me. So,
can I say for the record, G? Yes. I hate drafting next to you, G.
Why is that?
Well, because you and I pick players, we've got a common set of players we like, I reckon.
Yeah, that'd be fair. That'd be fair, except I took a player today. I actually took 2. The last 2 picks I took today were 2 guys that I'd never actually thought that I'd probably go and grab, especially one.
Well, we'll talk about your team in a minute. Yeah. Let's just we'll finish with Pete's here. So yeah, Penny. Look, who knows? Who knows, Pete? It could be a Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt kind of backfield.
Yeah.
Seattle need to do that, honestly, don't they? I don't know who's starting. If it's Drew Lock or Geno Smith, both of them are pretty
not ideal.
Ordinary prospects. So, why not? Why not?
And just on that, DK Metcalf, mate, he went late.
Yep.
Yes.
And so Lockett went later than him. Yeah.
Is Lockett still on the board?
No, I think he got taken early on last round.
He has gone.
Yeah. Maybe Phoenix or somebody like that.
Hang on. You might not be able to read that. It's pretty small. I can read it.
Are we going to?
By the way, Hopkins went at the 10:01.
Yep.
I mean, I know he's got the suspension, but wow, that's pretty good.
Yep.
Hang on, I'm just looking for Lockett. He went at the 9:11.
Okay.
To Phoenix Rocket. So,
but it's interesting with Metcalf because I remember on my last pick and I was looking at the wide receivers because it's still a lot of great receivers on the board, and I was thinking, I was looking at volume is the big thing, right? Because Wilson not only was playing from behind all that time, but he also extends an extra 20% of plays, like just from and then he's flying balls down the field. Whereas some of the guys, like, you just like coming off ACLs, coming off injuries, and you just like, that's why you don't really want to pick them. For example, like a Michael Gallup, or who was the other one who I was considering? There's another one coming off an injury, and you're just a bit like, not sure if he's ready for week one. And you're like, you probably, if you can get them another round or two later, that's better.
Sure. That's a fair call. Elijah Moore, I like that pick. I mean, obviously the big question mark is Zach Wilson, but I mean, Elijah Moore, we recognize the talent there. And certainly lots of pieces in New York. So,
mate, Elijah Moore with probably more than half of any other quarterback in the NFL would go a lot higher than the 10-10.
Oh, my word.
Based around the fact that him and Zach Wilson just can't hook up like he can with his mum's, best friend. So
allegedly, what?
Allegedly, yeah. Even if it's not true, it's always a good story.
Maybe that's what's happened to Denzel Mims. Maybe he cracked onto and Wilson was like, no, mate, she's mine. No targets for you.
Yeah, no targets for you. Possibly. So, look, I think Elijah, I had Elijah Moore as my number 5 wide receiver coming out in that draft. But, yeah, getting stuck with Zach Wilson the way that Zach Wilson played last year, geez, he'd seriously want to improve. He looked better when he came back after the injury, but, mate, still a lot of college rookie mistakes.
Yes.
Just looks like the game. I think we spoke about this last time. The game just seems to move just a little bit too quick for him at the moment.
Yeah.
Hey, Pete, I was interested how you approached that pick, because I was thinking about it yesterday. Coming up to this is almost like your final starter, right? Like I think you start 11, so you're in that 11th round, and I was a bit like, there's a lot of question marks on the board. And when you start looking at running back, tight end, the sort of what you think, oof, God, if I don't pick this guy now, I'm going to be in trouble if I'm looking for a bye week guy or a potential, flex guy. So, what were you thinking?
There's probably 3 homer picks on the board, and Fant was one of them, just because I really liked him at Denver. I think he's the bottom of the tier of people who've been really good tight end. So I wanted him. Yeah.
There's a little bit of a mini run of tight end, I think. Hang on, where you picked him.
I think you guys took
Pat. That's probably 2 picks. Because I think that's where I took Cole Kmet.
And
I took Frymouth.
Frymouth.
And you took Frymouth, yeah. Which I saw Pat Frymouth's name on there a couple of rounds ago, and then I just thought about the quarterback, like what's going to happen with the quarterback. Like what did he have last year? Was it like 700 plus yards or something as a rookie? I don't know how many touchdowns. I don't remember.
Oh, he got a lot of touchdowns. The second half.
Great start for a tight end in his rookie season.
Oh no, I tell a lie. But where is he? There's Fant. Oh yeah, we had Frymouth, Kmet, and then Brait, and then Fant, all within like 6 or 7 picks, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a mini tight end run. A mini tight end run.
But my original plan was to get 2 quarterbacks, a tight end, and then just play wide receiver, running back forevermore. so it was a change of plan.
I was actually looking at what's available, especially like there's always wide receivers. I was looking at what's still available at running back, and I actually thought today that maybe I should have exchanged some of my running backs for wide receivers, and just take a chance on the running backs that are there and hope I can cover my ass until they become usable.
Oh,
who
yeah.
Are who are your running backs, G? Sorry, who are your running backs?
Well, hang on. We'll go to G's team next. Fan. Yeah, we've kind of spoken about Fan. Okay, right. Let's load yours up, G, because
sorry.
That's not mine.
Oh, that was a bit harsh. Oh, that's not mine.
That's not mine. So there we go. So I was looking at it, I'm thinking there's players on the board that I possibly could have got wide receivers that are very startable in some of those positions. But then who do you give up?
Yeah.
But, there's more running backs that I like that are available still to take a chance on than wide receivers that I know are just going to be who they are.
Oh, yeah. And that your stable of 4 running backs there is good. That's really good.
If Dobbins is over it, Dylan gets a chance.
I think Dylan will.
And if Kareem Hunt gets traded, maybe to I saw today that I read, one of the places he's not going to get, let's talk about where would it be a good spot, and like the Texans would probably be a really good landing spot for him. I said, that's not bad. Or the fact I've got to hope that Nick Chubb does something in camp. not that you're wishing on anybody, but
does something medical.
Chiefs would be a good landing spot for Kareem Hunt.
Oof.
Well, they know how to use him. That's for sure.
It's funny.
Is not happening.
Some of the ideal landing spots just shouldn't be investing money in a running back. Like Atlanta would be great, but why would you get a running back there?
Well, he'd probably go somewhere that they'll at least half a chance of being more than 50% and making the playoffs anyway. So,
Sean, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. See, he's got it set up. He looks healthy. He's got a tan. I suppose it is summer.
It is definitely summer here.
So, where you based, Sean?
What's that?
Where you based? What city?
We're on the east coast of the United States in Virginia.
Yes.
So Virginia Beach area. I don't know if you guys would know that specific area, but Virginia Beach area.
No. I've listened to a lot of history, and there's a lot of stuff that used to happen in Virginia, but it was a long time ago. We won't bring it up, but
yes, yeah,
know where it is. Ready.
Oh, gee, okay, all right. I'll take him out so we can see you a little bit better. Great for you to join us, Sean. And why don't you give your pod a plug, the Coach and Commish?
Yeah, so me and my buddy Chris, we run a podcast. Started out of just doing a league-wide podcast just for our local league here. That's probably the majority of our listeners, but we do have a few other people that tune in. But we mostly are on Apple Podcast and YouTube, and it's called Coach and Commish. And we talk about fantasy football throughout the year and a couple of off-season episodes, but we're gearing up for this next season. I'm not sure exactly what that content will look like yet, but yeah, we just love fantasy football.
But that's a really good sort of area to get into is fantasy football, because it's not really – it hasn't really taken off yet, is it? It's not saturated with a lot of podcast.
Exactly.
Sean, I don't know if you know many Australians, but we have a very dry and sarcastic sense of humour.
I don't know many Australians, but I've gathered that in the few that I've watched here.
Right.
Don't take it personally. We're all good. We're all good. So if you want to go through, we've just got my team up at the moment, just going through the team. Sean, if there's anything that you disagree with, don't like, please just fire away.
Just lay into it.
Sean, you're the commish, right?
Yes. So the two halves of us are, I'm the commish. I've run a local league that we have. I think us and our buddies, I think this is year 10 for us in our keeper league that we have.
Wow.
And then he's been a high school coach for many years for football. So he's the coach and I'm the commish. So I've had to deal with some very fun you want story time later, I've had quite the funny stories with our league of just people trying to cheat their way to championships, and it's fun though. It's given me a headache at times, but I enjoy it very much.
Oh, G will be able to talk you through some of that kind of stuff.
Me and AJ have had a couple. We've tried a few things ourselves, just sneaky stuff, try and get it through. But you know, we run.
Hey, Sean, Virginia, like obviously big colleges there, but who do people support in Virginia? Like which NFL teams?
So we're kind of towards an area it's actually in the United States. It's the biggest metropolis area that does not have a professional sports team. So we don't have anybody that you could technically claim. But a lot of people are for the what used to be Washington Redskins and now the Commanders. That's probably the closest to us. Carolina is also not too far, but those would be probably the two. But
wow, what a great choice! What a great choice for you there, Sean.
Yeah, exactly. It's great for the people around here. But we're a huge military town, so I would say that the majority of people are just whatever the big in the nation is. So like we have tons of Steelers fans. That's probably the number one I see in this area. And Pennsylvania is not that far.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
I'm a Dolphins fan.
Yeah, I can say that.
The marina in the back here. Unfortunately, it's been a rough life for me, but yeah.
we actually when we sit around the dinner table at night, we have just to try and improve some sort of intellect. Because I did hear today on the news that for the first time, as a I'm not going to say as a nation, but as a life form on this planet, we are now dumber than we were last year. We're actually going back.
That's really bad.
It doesn't surprise me with what the shit that my wife watches on TV, on TikTok and whatnot. It doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Where was I going with that? What were we talking about?
I have no idea.
That kills me.
Just wanted to enlighten us. That.
But one of the we sit down and have dinner, and we do questions every night while we're having dinner. And one of the questions was what only NFL team has gone through the entire season undefeated. So I just sat there and waited because I knew the answer. So I just wanted to see how it goes. So the Dolphins came through with me on that one. So thank you.
Yeah, it's the one claim fame I have. Whenever there's any other fandom that's trying to go against me, it's like, but your team was never undefeated. So
yes, perfect.
I was not alive for that, but it did happen.
You see, I grew up, obviously, because I'm from the UK, so I mainly grew up watching football, like soccer, as you would call it. And there, it's all about the league, right? So whoever finishes the top of the league and has the best record wins. Like, there's no playoffs, there's no, like you have over here in Australia as well, like finals. Like, so really, like, for me, Sean, you guys, undefeated, like, that's got to be a championship, but like obviously not in real life, which kind of sucks, right?
Couple episodes.
Most unfair.
Right. Yeah. So we started off, Sean, like going through the team. Is there anything that you want to? We discussed the team. Mine's up there at the moment.
Yeah. So with
Sean,
this team here,
just let loose because this team is absolutely tragically awful. Don't feel you have to be polite. Honestly,
whatever language you think is appropriate, just go for it.
To be honest with you, I actually really do like this team. The pick that I actually like the least is probably AJ Brown there in the 5th. It's not bad for him. I'm just scared to death of. I guess if you're trying to do the Jalen Hurts stack, I completely get that part of it. But I love the Matt Ryan pick. That's a weird one to pick out first, but I absolutely love that one. McCaffrey, that's a pretty easy one to take at RB2. Michael Thomas, a late one, kind of like our Hopkins. It's worth a stab at it. I don't mind this team at all.
Yeah, the one we were talking before you came on about, there's two guys that I thought I'd never own in redraft or anything. Cole Kmet, I wasn't someone I thought I wasn't that flash on coming out, but
Well, you should have waited a little longer because we would have enjoyed Cole Kmet not having a tight end. But
and like Brandon Ayuk was someone I actually never thought that I'd ever draft.
Mhm.
But
we talked about that last year, G, because we were both in the same, camp him coming out, with the tape. And like, I actually took him a lot last year because after, what I thought he did a very good rookie year. And even the issues that you saw on tape with the drops and the hands, like he kind of cleaned some of that up. But then whatever happened at the start of last year, I mean, he was obviously
got
in
on
the
Shanahan's bad side.
doghouse. Yeah. So
and also he did his hammy in camp, so that set him back as well.
Yeah,
so.
but the talk. I mean, it's early, obviously, but apparently it's exactly the same kind of thing this year. He's not looked great, and actually got pulled out of one of the practices for Ray McLeod. So like I considered him with my last pick as well. Like I thought, do I burn and crash again, or I don't know. But thanks, G, anyway, for taking him.
Yeah, well, I just thought he had a bad start to the season, but if you look at his second half of the season, he was at 24. He was in the top 24 wide receivers for the whole second half. So I'm not a big one for momentum from one season to the next because there's too big a bloody gap in between. They're not rolling straight into the following season a week later. But you sort of hope that maybe something turns on. Yeah. Something sort of turns on.
Sure.
I'm hoping for the fact also Deebo Samuel with all that stuff, and he doesn't want to. Probably part of it is he doesn't want to have the same role, so maybe that might help him out.
Well, I went Claypool, G. I went Claypool because that's another guy who I probably haven't really drafted since he came into the league, and I guess there's some similar. He had regression last year. Probably QB change as well. Is that going to make a difference? Juju being gone's a positive. Like that's the only thing I can think that he might get a bit more. But I mean, guys like him, Ayuk. Who was the other? It's like, do you pick them or do you go for Christian Watson or one of the rookies? Like, you're at that level of choice, aren't you? Right now.
And I think there's still some players who are the wide receiver one for their team, and the teams are just avoidable. So like there's a few teams that we don't want their wide receiver one.
Well, that was the problem with Ayuk is, mate, I'm not a Trey Lance fan at all. So it's like I'm sort of hoping that he might. They're going to have to play him because for what you gave up, what you're going to go 2 years without starting the guy. But that we're getting to the point now where I don't mind the play, but I don't like the dude throwing the football.
Yeah.
Or do I go and, like you said, Ben, do I go and grab the rookie on a team that, like very, very rarely the rookies like blow up and win you a league, or do I go and grab him in the hope that he does do that because I like the quarterback that he's playing with and I prefer him? So that's sort of where we are at the moment, because a lot of the guys now that are left are just the number 3 guy on their team. You're going to eventually they're going to be on somebody's roster, but they're just going to be a bye-week fill-in, or because they've been in the league for, 3, 4, 5 years, we know what they are. This is what they are.
Yeah.
For me, I like Ayuk a lot more than you do, G, but I reckon mid-11th for Ayuk is brilliant value.
Yeah, it's okay. I looked it up today. I just try and get an idea of where he's sort of going, and it's pretty much around that sort of, the 120, 130 sort of player off the board. So I don't pretty much. Where is he?
Earliest 7:12, latest 12:08. I mean, you're pretty close to that end, see?
Okay. Yeah.
So that's a good measure. I mean, pretty close
Where
to
do
the
you get
12:08.
this information, mate? I need this information. Where do you find this stuff?
I'm not
I know
telling you.
I know. I actually said. Sorry, Pete.
There's a guy who I think his name's Josh ADHD, and he's on
Yes.
Twitter, and he publishes everything for Scott Fishbowl.
Okay, because I actually put out a message today on could someone please tell me where I can find some Scott Fishbowl ADP, and no one answered me. So
Really?
that's fine. That's fine. We know that's all part of the game.
Yeah,
Well,
at
no, I can send you this.
Josh _ADHD.
I can send you the
okay.
link. I can send you the link, G.
I
But his
did read
ADP is
I-
9, basically middle of the 9th is his Scotfish ADP. So you've done much better, G.
Yeah.
You've got value. You've got
Yeah.
value.
7's early. Damn.
7, yeah, end of the 7th is early.
Yeah.
That's a
Ooh.
San Francisco fan for sure.
Yeah.
Trey
Did
Lance.
that. Yeah, that's right. All right.
All
So,
right, here we are.
let's
Let's
load
put
up.
Sean's team. Let's put up
all right.
Sean's team. Let's pull the bits. This would be good.
Roasted on.
You'll be one pick short, Sean.
Yeah, we're
you're-
still waiting for the rest of the Americans
11th
to
and
wake up.
12th. You have
Come
to
on,
have
dude.
your around the turn. Although Lauren went to bed pretty early, she must be an early riser. She's an early sleeper, so fingers crossed. But I mean, I think I said before you were online. The Hopkins pick. I was watching him. Well, as probably a lot of people were, just to find the sweet spot. But that's pretty good. 10th round, you take that surely. That's fine.
Yeah, we were pretty happy with getting him there. We were deciding whether to take him or Kirk, and
Yep.
this being the huge tournament that it is, we figured the upside was much higher for Hopkins. So
Well chosen, but he's I think a lot better than Kirk.
yeah,
Well, and you've got to have guys. I mean, obviously the game is to get into the finals. Getting into the finals is not too bad. As long as your team is reasonably solid, you'll be fine getting there. And then you'll have Hopkins for the finals. So that works.
Yeah. That's our thought.
Talk us through the reason of your draft so far. Sure.
This is our second year doing Scott Fishbowl. The first year we played, we literally, my buddy called me up and said, "Hey, we got in the Scott Fishbowl," and I was like, "Okay, I know what that is, but I have no idea what the rules are." And so we took Christian McCaffrey 101, which turned out fantastic.
Was that last
but
year? Sorry, last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
last
took
year,
him at 102. So
yeah, so I guess we weren't too bad off on the value of them, but we didn't even realize the whole super flex part of it and the tight end premium. And so we were spending the whole draft just trying to read the rules and figure out what was going on. So this year we took Josh Allen. That was, I think, a pretty consensus 101.
That's
many people were taking him.
controversial.
Yeah. And then we didn't plan to go in to take the running back second. If a tight end had fallen there, I think Mark Andrews had gone off at that point. That probably would have been our pick. But my buddy's a Vikings fan, so a little bit of a homer. The two decisions that we were making was either Dalvin Cook at the 2 or Najee Harris. And we just saw a little bit more upside with Cook, so we went with Cook. And then the rest of the draft was really just taking the value that fell. I think that at the end of the turn, you either take the value or you reach for the guys that aren't going to make it back to you. And we've been fortunate enough, I think, to actually take a lot of really good value. DeAndre Swift at the end of the third, I was really surprised to see him there.
Yeah.
And then when we double tapped those wide receivers, T. Higgins and Jalen Waddle.
Double tap means something completely different in Australia, don't it?
Yeah, no, in part it means that here too. But
no.
How did
The DeAndre Swift is great. CD Lamb, and I think you'll find that it's because so many quarterbacks went. Didn't it? What was it, AJ? Was it like
14 in the first two?
First 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just pushes everybody back down, doesn't it?
It does, and it's a hard thing to to kind of quantify in my head because I don't play much Superflex, and to like see the value of what's there. I mean, we ended up getting Tannehill pretty late, and I think we're pretty happy with that. But it's like you were saying, just to see that many quarterbacks go off, you just are kind of baffled when you're at the end of a third and DeAndre Swift is sitting there. You're just like, how do I not take this guy?
Yeah.
And Sean, you said last year you guys had the 101, so you have the 101 again.
We do.
Was that a conscious choice? Like, did you think, oh, we learned, this from last year and we're going to do something differently?
No, it was more of it was like a kind of last minute placement. There's actually a Norfolk, we're based in the city's called Norfolk here. And there actually is a Norfolk league that we unfortunately weren't able to get into, so that you guys could have, had more Aussies that were awake at the same time you were. But we were late edition, so we were kind of to fill the hole, and this is where they put us. So we didn't have no choice in what our draft spot was. But with our team, I'm pretty happy with it.
How do you feel about the third round reversal as well? Because obviously with the one, it's quite significant, isn't it?
Yeah, I was definitely afraid of it at first, taking Dalvin Cook there and then not being able to get another quarterback or our first wide receiver for another 24 picks was scary. But
yeah,
getting him, like I said, getting DeAndre, I was planning to draft. I think people would go back and take Dalvin Cook and DeAndre. So it scared us a little bit, but I was super happy that Swift got back.
But it worked out. It worked out really well for you this year, as compared. Like I said, I was picking at the 102 last year, and I found the reverse a real kick in the nuts for the team, just because who was available there at the 311, because the quarterbacks didn't go like they have in this year in our division. If it had been that way, I would have ended up with DeAndre Swift, someone of that quality. But this year, when I did it, I said, "Mate, there ain't no way I'm going anywhere near the 101, the 102. I just put me at the other end or close enough down there, so I don't have to deal with that." But it's worked out really well. But another question I did want to ask you: when you got stuck in the Melbourne League, did you have to look up where the hell Melbourne is?
I did. I wasn't sure. I don't know if I've even actually looked what part of the Australia. I mean, to us over here, it's just Australia. I know it's giant and it's much more than just Australia. But to us, when I hear Australia, that's all I think is, oh, it's Australia. I didn't really go look at what side or part of Australia you guys.
But did you look up where Australia is on the world map?
Sure. Let's see it.
I give you guys a bit of a hard time, just that outside of Canada and Mexico and Hawaii to one side, does anything else exist?
I mean, not to me. I've not been outside of that area right there. So
okay.
Well, if you're on the way to Hawaii, you just keep going.
You keep going.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to go. To be honest with you, I don't know much about Australia, but it's my escape plan as the United States falls. So
falls a bit.
What, next year?
I've heard it's. Yeah.
We're about 2 weeks behind you.
Yeah.
So I'll get 2 more weeks.
Yeah.
So
I believe
we'll have you out here. Just bring. We have a lot of spiders and snakes and crocs and it's not.
But we don't have tornadoes.
No, we don't have tornadoes.
We get hurricanes here, bad.
Yeah.
We don't have those. We have those, but
we just have fires and floods and.
Yeah. So, what are you expecting out of Clyde Edwards-Hilaire? So you took him in the 8th. He's been a disappointment so far, and the strange thing is what he's really good at. They haven't used him for that, and I put a bit of that on Patrick Mahomes, because me and AJ have spoken about this on the pod. I think Mahomes has got that. I don't need to check it down. I can fit it through a 1-inch window between 3 blokes to whoever I want to. 50 yards down the field or 20 yards down the field. So you took him a bit hesitant, or?
Yeah, that's probably one of the harder picks that we made. We were really hoping that I think that's when Miles Sanders went right before our pick, and we would have loved Miles Sanders. They're both pretty high on him. But we were, again, one of the big things that we've thought is take the value and look for upside. And as far as, what the outcomes are, I mean, CEH has the opportunity on what could be the highest scoring offense in football. If they give him the role that they actually drafted him to do, then, I mean, you're looking at potentially a top 5 running back. But obviously the flip side of that is that he's just regulated to those first and second down. The worst part is that giving him a role that is you play, between the 20s and you don't play on passing downs. So it's a pretty useless role in fantasy, which is why I think he's been so disappointing.
Yeah. And no tight ends yet.
Yeah, that's the scary part of what I mean. Looking at our team, I compare it to the others, and I think, wow, this is a really good looking roster. And then I'm like, oh yeah, this is a tight end premium league, and we don't have a tight end, so that could be a huge problem for us. There's potential to probably take one depending on who falls in the next turn here, but there was a couple times we were close, I think, on pulling the trigger early. TJ Hawkinson was a thought. I think that would have been probably in the 3rd or 4th round. And then we considered last one going, either Freiermuth or Cole Kmet, who are now both gone. But we just kind of kept looking at this tier of all these tight ends that were about the same, and we decided it was better to take a guy like DeAndre Hopkins than take a tight end and then him perform just as well as somebody we can get 2 rounds later.
Yep.
Yeah, we're kind of in that tight end, that massive tight end tier where they're all kind of the same. So that's a fair call.
Yeah,
because you got to look at the value. Honestly, you got to look at the value. And
we've made the decision to wait, and so we're stuck here now. It's not worth reaching for somebody else.
No, true. Check out Ben's team.
Yep, sounds good. Hang on, let me.
AJ. Here we
Well,
go.
I'm going to take another drink for this.
All right.
All right.
Here we go. How you going there, AJ, with technology?
Oh, great.
Right. All right.
Yes. All right. Let me just zoom it in a bit.
So where did we leave you last time, Ben? Where were you at? Like what round were we at?
Had you picked Knox?
No, we were. I think we were only at the 3rd pick. I think I'd taken Tua, and we were talking about.
I think we might have had Fournette because we mentioned about he's been on the buffets a little bit too much in the off season, wasn't it?
Yeah, you might be right there. Actually, yeah, we did talk about. But it was. I think at that time I was kind of. Yeah, at that. Because we talked about who's kind of still a lead back, right? Who's got the volume, and there was like Fournette and Zeke and a couple of other guys, and then the rest are really looking at timeshares and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I was surprised actually Zeke got back to me. I thought, obviously, like Sean mentioned, when you're on the turn, I kind of took Fournette thinking that Zeke. It would be one or the other because Zeke would go on the turn. But when he came back, I was like, oh, well, look, might as well just double up and forget about running back for a few rounds. And I then just remembered that I still haven't remembered to go back to running back since then. So I probably need to think about that.
There's a lot of green. There's a lot of green on this screen here.
You do realise you can't start them all.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean that was.
I've also heard that the wide receiver is the least valuable position in Scott Fishbowl. Just to throw that out there.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for coming. It's nice to speak to you. We'll speak to you again. Yeah?
Someone should have told you that before you started picking, Ben.
No, it's interesting because particularly the last 2 picks, I think I fell into what Sean was just talking about there with the tight end thing. Is like, either do I go get a guy who is going to be more productive overall, or do I reach for a guy that I'm like, yeah, but there's also 5 other guys around him that are going to give similar production, and that, you know, and it just so happened that when I looked at, you know, Renfro, Olav, and then Claypool, I was just like, well, you know, yeah, wide receiver, least valuable. But to be honest, I mean, it depends what your strategy is. I mean, a tight end premium can only go so far by after the first 5 or 6 tight ends. So I was banking more on probably, you know, one of those 3 there with Renfro, Olav, and Claypool. Like, if I can get 2 of them to get wide. I mean, Renfro was like nearly wide receiver 1 numbers last year. Like, he was fantastic. So I just thought, look, I'm not loving the depth,
not affected by the fact that Waller will probably be healthy, and they did pick Calpard wide receiver.
Yeah, I was going to say that there is someone.
What's his name?
The number 1 wide receiver in the league.
I don't know. I think he's some guy who's got some sort of cred.
But
he might be okay.
Are they really going to move Renfro out of the slot? Probably not.
And like, you know, the good thing about fantasy, Ben, is it's always the same every year, isn't it? So Hunter Renfro's a great pick.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's always going to be better, AJ. So he's going to reach that. He's going to reach that wide receiver 1 status this year. So, you know,
right.
That's fine. Yeah. I mean, look, the other thing I would say as well is that I sort of reached a bit in terms of value as well. Like, I thought, yeah, like there's just too much good value on those guys. And I can pick up, you know, I'm always on that like mini turn. So I always feel like I can pick up 2 guys together, and, you know, in these next 4 or 5 rounds that can give me like, all right, yeah, I'll take these 2 running backs and I'll hope one of them works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reasonable amount of positive buzz around Olave. So
could you? I was going to say to you, actually, just talk about him. Are you able to put up where he's going, like on the
Olave?
Yeah, what you put up before. I'm really interested to see.
Oh, gee, what do you think of the Winston pick, by the way?
Oh man!
Well, if he's that point, mate,
given the scoring and everything.
Do you want me to show you the scoring? Are you aware of the scoring?
A 0 to 5 every week, mate, you're laughing. You good.
I think that Scott Fishbowl invented the rules that he did for Jameis Winston.
You know what?
He said a quarterback cannot throw that many interceptions and be good for fantasy.
No, but he did show improvement when given the opportunity. Was it last year? Yeah, so
he showed a lot. He only threw guess how many interceptions he threw. So last season. So he started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
His numbers last season were not bad.
He started 7 games, and his 7th game he had to leave after the first quarter. So 7 games. How many touchdowns? How many interceptions?
I know he had a great touchdown rate. That was insane.
It was, it was good. It was good.
Well, he did throw 5 in week 1. So
I was going to say he threw 5 in 1 week. No idea.
So 14 TDs, 3 interceptions. That's it.
Okay. It's a much better ratio than 30 and 30.
Yeah, but he didn't complete more than 20 passes in 1 game. So that's another issue. That's another issue that I probably have to think about.
So the earliest is 7.
Yeah, 7-10.
Okay,
1401.
1401.
That's pretty good. Oh man, anyone would take him there.
Where'd you grab him?
10, was it? 10?
10
was it? 10. That's pretty much spot on that, isn't it? 120.
You're in the middle.
Yeah.
10. Yeah. So in the middle.
Oh, there we go. 12 3 is the average. So you're too early. You're 2 rounds too early. That's okay.
No.
Is that how it works?
10 is the average. You divide that by 12.
So it's 12.
Oh, yeah, by 12. So what's the thing in the brackets, mate?
Sean, they don't study maths at school in Australia, just to let you know. They have to learn that once we get to an adult. So.
That's what they make computers for, dude. Does it all for me.
That must be the standard deviation, I guess.
I have no idea. Okay.
But it's got
So,
minimum 82. Is it 82, 710?
It may be that's more like where it's populated to where people are more likely taking him whereas that's just the earliest and that's the latest. That doesn't mean that the majority of people are taking them at, the dead middle of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think
like I said, 2 rounds too early. That's okay.
No, spot on. It's spot on.
Spot
But
on.
you got to think about his situation there. He's got a bum in front of him who hasn't played for 2 years. So as soon as he either disappears or doesn't report to training and winds up in Norfolk, Virginia, doing something on the coast or something. I don't know. Like Olav's going to get plenty of opportunity. So
Hey, Sean,
that's the upside there.
Sean, question for you.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas or Amon-Ra St. Brown?
I have sworn off of Michael Thomas, so you probably could have said any player, and I would have said that player instead of Michael Thomas.
That's good enough. You don't have to say anything else.
We actually wanted Amon-Ra St. Brown, so yeah, definitely.
For what reason?
He's going to be the wide receiver 1. I don't think there's any way that Jamison Wilson, especially, he's probably not going to play for the first 4 weeks minimum.
Right.
And then even if he does, he is still a rookie. So I just can't see him taking over that number 1 role until at the earliest,
no, I mean,
very end of the season.
The reason that you wouldn't take Michael Thomas.
Oh, so I've had him in a dynasty league for a long time, and I got out right as things were getting bad for him. So I think that the guy has problems mentally and physically. So I'm just out on players like that.
Okay.
I'm not going to take the chance that he's going to find a way to get it all together.
Okay.
I mean, he's not for the place he's taken. It's definitely worth the risk to have the guy that was, I think he had the most catches in football for like 3 straight years or something, but it's
Sean, G never says okay and then doesn't say anything else. So well done. You're the first man to silence him.
Don't upset him.
New friend.
I mean, I get people why they would take him. Again, it's for me. It's more just a personal. I'm out on the guy because I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay. Yeah. No.
It's one of those lighting the picks on fire for me, where I just feel like it's going to end up being nothing. So.
Yeah. Well, you got to be in it to win it, and you got to. Sometimes you have to risk it. He had to.
And that's why I brought him up when I was talking about our DeAndre Hopkins, because it's a very similar mindset. That's a more personal thing. But if you see the upside there of a top 10 guy and you can get him in whatever the 8th or whatever you got him, then that's always.
I'm not looking in for be a top mate. If he's in the top 24, I'd be happy for where I got him. So
Yep.
That'd be fine. That'd be fine. AJ, your team. How's that looking?
Okay.
How's
So
it coming
just before so you guys are pretty much out on my team, is that right? Or just so that I know.
It's.
I love those running backs that you were able to get with the value. Yeah. The overall makeup scares me a little bit of having that many wide receivers. The quarterback 2 is extremely scary. Being a Dolphins fan, I would love to say that Tua pick is going to be.
The quarterback 1's scary, Sean.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, he's got 2 amazing receivers he's throwing to, so hopefully that's enough. But we'll see. Like the back of his jersey just needs to say no excuses the whole season.
How many players do we need to start in Scott Fish? Is it 2? Because if it's 2, Ben, you're set.
2.
If it's 11
2 players.
Yes.
2 overall players.
If it's 11, it might be harder.
Mate, I agree with what Sean's saying about your team. Is that you started with bloody Cup and Jefferson. And then I would have just gone, okay, mate, they're going to be such big scorers.
Yeah.
I'm going to go after other positions, and at least till possibly where you took Dawson Knox.
Well, funnily enough, I just checked, and you can start up to 7 wide receivers. So,
Okay.
yeah. So you're all wrong. Guys, move on.
How many have you got now? You've got 7 now. No, you got 6.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
He's got
6.
7.
So
six.
I got 6.
next round, another wide receiver.
Yeah, another one, and then we're good. Then you're good.
Yeah, then we're done.
Then you're done.
I can move on to the other, lesser important positions in shortstop. I think the only thing, the last thing I'll say is that I did go very, very wide receiver heavy last year as well, and that worked out pretty well. I got to like the conference semi-final type thing, so
Okay.
I'm pretty confident. The only thing that I'm worried about really is my quarterbacks, and I was actually hoping that around this round there might be like a Davis Mills or someone still there, but thanks AJ, you sorted that he's gone now off the board, so it is now looking pretty rough at quarterback. So
Carson Wentz is still on the board, Ben. So
well, yeah, I mean,
Mariota?
We'll
Mariota.
see how taking command goes in Washington. Jesus.
All right, I'll load my one up.
Yeah, I'll be just starting one QB a week, mate. You might have to start 7 because one of your 7 wide receivers might be in your flex spot, in your super flex spot.
Well, I mean, funnily enough, I think I did see that. I think I shared it with you guys. The last couple of winners of the whole thing have not started Superflex in the playoffs.
Which interesting. Because quarterback. I mean, look, it's the only position that can potentially go negative, and also the scoring system it evens everything out reasonably. I mean, you'll see it week to week with your matchups and things. It does even things out. I think you can. I mean, that's kind of not that I wasn't deliberately setting out to only draft one quarterback. I know I've got Mills now, but one top tier quarterback. But the way the board fell, I thought it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to use a high pick on a bad quarterback. It just doesn't feel like good value.
So what position would you have to win at to replace your quarterback with another position? And it have to be like one of the running backs hitting in the second half of the season near the end of when they get a chance with maybe 5 games to go. Maybe like we said with from Seattle, I'm blanking. Rashad Penny.
Rashad Penny.
Like last year, he was sitting there, and I don't know if he was on the waiver wire in that or whatever.
Well, yeah.
You hit on him, and the way he was scoring, why would you play a quarterback that's, geez, mate, if I can get 15 out of my quarterback, I'd probably get 15 out of Rashad Penny and then some.
Yes.
Well, gee, that's what happened to me last year. The reason why I got so far in the playoffs was I had 3 tight ends. I drafted Goddard as my tight end 1, but then I managed to get Schultz as pretty late in the draft. Like he wasn't really considered. But then, I also got Dawson Knox. So I had Knox, Goddard, and Schultz, and I was starting them every week.
So here we go with Ben without going back to the well, because it was the same as last year again with Dawson Knox and Hunter Renfrow. The same. Just keeps repeating fantasy football. All right, let's pull apart AJ's.
Pick it apart. Go for it.
Well, it looks pretty symmetrical, doesn't it? It was quite.
It actually does. Yeah.
That's the teacher in him. ADHD, is it? Is that the one? ADHD. What's the one with everything?
Yes, it's kind of almost like not like a palindrome. What do you call it when it's the same backwards as forwards? I can't remember.
No idea, mate. I'm out on that sort of stuff. Sean,
But-
Sean, you're the guest, mate. We're not really a guest because you're in our division, but how are you seeing it?
I mean, I like obviously Travis Kelce, getting him in a premium, especially at 108. That's, I think, some screaming value there. I love the first quarterback, Tom Brady's. Keep underrating him. He's just going to keep doing it. I mean, I don't love him because I'm a Dolphins fan, so he's ruined most of my life. But and then Najee Harris has been that. I thought that was when I think yesterday you guys were talking about. I had asked the question of the steal of the draft, and I thought, although that's not crazy value because it's still the third round, he's someone we considered at the 212 pretty heavily because I thought I'm surprised he was still there at that point even. So. I think this is a pretty good build. The Rashad Bateman love, I'm not on that. My co-host, the coach, he's a big Rashad Bateman guy. But I'm just not about it. But there's plenty of upside there. And then
Sorry, go on.
Tony Pollard. I'm curious. I would ask you kind of with Tony Pollard. Is that just a kind of lotto pick as it's been in the past, or do you think he's actually got the opportunity to steal away some of Zeke's workload?
Yeah, the latter. In my mind, the latter. I mean, I guess best case scenario, if Zeke gets hurt, then Pollard is an RB1, undoubtedly. But Pollard has got standalone value, I think. I think he's almost going to be flex-worthy every week. Yeah, I reckon he's flex-worthy for sure.
Yeah.
You just wonder whether, because Zeke's on the last year of his contract, whether they're just going to, run him into the ground. It doesn't look like they're going to give him an extension, let's put it that way. But
yeah, that's more how I view it. I think they're gonna use Zeke for all he has left, and then Pollard would take over next year. But I mean, you saw it last year. I
anagram, Pete. Thanks. Yep. An anagram. Sorry.
I seem to be a little bit more on the side of that. I think it was more injury based last year with Zeke than it is actually age. So I think that he'll be all right. And I think that Pollard has more of the role he has had. But when you get that old as a running back, there's definitely the opportunity for that to get away from you.
Mate, isn't it amazing how the cliff has gone from a couple of years ago closer to 30 to now it's like after anything
27.
after 26. Yeah. Like it's just all of a sudden we've taken 3 years off. And I think probably a bit of that's got to do with the fact that I think you use them for the rookie contract and then you just kick them to the curb. And that's 27 years old.
I think the other part of it is that there's so much young talent that comes into the league too, that coaches seem to be more willing to let the young guy get in there and take over than they used to just kind of, this is our running back, who's always been our running back, continue to use him. But if they see G.I., who's a younger guy in practice, I think they're just more willing to give him the role all of a sudden.
Yeah, and that surprises me too that there's someone, I think they're still on the board. They haven't been picked up yet. Is Cook, the younger Cooks in Buffalo, who's still
James Cook? I think he was taken.
James is off the board. He's been taken.
He was taken.
Oh, he's been taken?
Yeah. I can tell you.
It was about right after
the 10:02.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. So
literally 2 picks after these guys took Walker.
Yeah, we took Walker and then he took James. I'm curious if that guy wanted a Walker and then just settled for Cook. But
okay, yep, I see. RB37.
RB37. Yep.
I'm really interested to see what Cooks is like because when I watched the film on him, I saw traits of who went to Pittsburgh last year.
Najee?
No. Who's the running back they picked out? Was it last year or the year before?
Oh, McFarlane? No.
McFarlane, yeah.
Yeah, I saw hints of that, which sort of made me a little bit nervous. Because you can always, and you see clips that people put up on on Twitter, mate. You can find the worst player in the NFL, and you can find clips where he looks like, mate, how is this guy not in the Hall of Fame? Like how he's not involved. But when you sit down and watch like 5 games, you start to go, that's good, but you don't do it enough for me. Like he is quick, and that's the thing about McFarlane. McFarlane thought he could outrun everybody. And I just saw a little bit of that. So I'm really see how James Cook goes, because I looked at him before that pick and just sort of passed. Around where I took Kareem Hunt and was looking at Rashad Penny, he was sort of in there as well. I
was going to say, I got a question for you guys here.
Yeah.
So this is probably trying to, get some information for the rest of our draft here, but I'm just curious everyone's overall thoughts on the kicker part of it. So I don't think the person who took a kicker's in here yet, but I have no idea how to treat this new kicker value and if they're actually worth taking before the very end of the draft.
Well, they are, but I mean, Ben and G might feel a little bit differently. I mean, I sort of feel like kickers so random that, Justin Tucker, oh, well, I mean, is he the kicker one? Toss a coin, not even toss a coin, roll a big dice. I mean, honestly.
But he's from the way I look at Justin Tucker is the fact that, mate, the dude can hit it from outside 50.
Oh, sure.
And there's a lot of chances that the Baltimore are going to be stuck. They're not going to get a touchdown, mate. He can kick it from anywhere. So the value on him compared to other people, and does he ever miss? I don't think I've ever seen him miss. Like he has, obviously, but seriously,
I think he's most accurate in history, though.
Yeah, not when I've been watching, and we're talking like 53, no problems.
I mean, the strategy of it, Sean. I mean, you can start 0. But you can start up to 4 kickers. I think they're going to be pretty flex-worthy. Like through the bye weeks, it might be handy. Have a couple of kickers you can kind of put in there. And, what are they going to get you? Maybe, 10 points or so if you're lucky, I guess.
So what's the scoring on a kicker? Is it the same as any other league?
It's pretty standard, I think.
I think they added this year that now for any extra point or field goal, they get an extra point.
And they also add the yards as well. So however many yards, it's like
I know they're much more powerful in this league than they are in others.
I'm taking a kicker as the next pick.
To answer your question, Sean, it's like kickers have probably become like either irrelevant or just annoying in most leagues, that you have, and people are just like, nah, I can't be bothered with the kicker. Like, so credit Scott Fishbowl for like making it relevant again, but also why?
I'm the anti-kicker camp. I've been trying to get kickers out of my home league for years.
I just don't understand why.
But I don't get that though. You look at some of the kicker scores, especially someone like Justin Tucker. I mean, he's better than probably, at half the bloody wide receivers what he scores at the year. It's just it makes sense to use them. Like,
well,
why are they not relevant?
But they're a lot more volatile.
Yeah,
they're a lot more random.
Mate, but every position's volatile. Or in every. Why?
Well, there's degrees of it.
Yeah.
I mean, wide receivers the most volatile, probably, aren't they? You could get a donut potentially.
Yeah, I would say so. Your top guys, even your top guys, are going to have bad weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I've always found it interesting that, like, for a game that there is, the actual games. If you look at the real life sport, the kicker is a really key position. Like it can settle or decide, and it often does a lot of games. But it's kind of laughed at a bit. It's kind of a bit of a joke. I mean, Justin Tucker's probably like one in a decade, right? Like there's one or two every decade. Like
in fantasy wise, Ben, or you mean in real football?
In real football, like it's like people, like games are settled on. I'm a Vikings fan, right? So games are settled on kickers, missing kicks in the playoffs, or in, if you've got like the Blair Walsh kick, you're meant to beat Seattle. You're 24 yards out, to go to the next round of the playoffs, and you miss it. Like Jesus, like
what other player on the team has more pressure on him at one given moment?
Exactly, yeah. So it is strange that it hasn't translated to a fantasy like relevant position, but at the same time, maybe it just doesn't feel like real football in a way.
I think it's just, to me, it's always been about.
It's not, is it? Because all the other part of the game is about throwing the ball, catching the ball, tackling. It's got nothing.
Right.
Yeah, players can't kick the ball in the field of play like in other sports. Even in AFL, you can kick like you meant to throw and catch and handball, but you can just kick it off the ground and chase it. You can't do that in football.
No.
Yeah. For me with fantasy, it's always been about like what's most enjoyable, like researching and doing anything. And that is the least enjoyable thing I've ever done in my life, is research what kicker I think might get in a situation where he has a chance to kick a field goal. Like you're sitting there looking at like Vegas odds and trying to see like who's going to like get down to the 20-yard line over and over, but not be able to get it in the end zone. Like that to me is why I would get rid of kickers. But
what I'm always fascinated about, and I'd love to see like, maybe on, like Hard Knocks or something, they make it a feature, an actual camp battle with the kickers, because you hear about it all the time. Like somebody drafts a rookie and like, oh, the rookie's going to have a camp battle with Nick Folk or whatever, and you're like, how many coaches, and particularly like the head coach, sits there and watches two kickers like for throughout camp? Like surely it doesn't happen, right?
they're like, who missed the most field goals? You're off the team.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like,
You've got 10 kicks, and then after that, if you're even, we'll just keep going until one of you guys miss. And the first,
I would say one of the coolest things I've ever watched. I remember when, being a kid watching, they used to do for the Pro Bowl the skills challenge. I always loved when they would do like the horse with the kickers. That was honestly one of the coolest things they did.
What's the horse? Sorry, you have to explain.
So they would play horse, which I don't know if you guys have a similar game, or when you're playing basketball and you shoot from an area and then the other person has to try from that same shot.
Okay, yeah.
And if you don't get it, then you get an H. So they would do that with the kickers. And I remember Neil Rackers was one of them that would do it. And so they would literally have two kickers they would do it from like outside in the parking lot. They would do it from, you have to punt it into the field goal or whatever. And they would take turns and try to get each other out by these trick shots.
I still think to make it more interesting in the game, instead of every time you kick it from directly in front, have you ever watched rugby, Sean? Any form of rugby?
A little bit, yeah. I've watched it.
Okay,
I don't fully understand it, but I've watched it.
So when you go for the extra point after a try, we call it a try instead of a touchdown, is that the kicker kicks it from the position where the try was. So if you score the try in the corner of the end zone, the kicker has to kick from that position and then try and kick across through the uprights.
I would
always directly in front. That's what
they only have the hashes for American football, but
that's what they need to do though, is sort out.
They definitely need to do that.
Yeah, is where if you score a try in the corner and it's 1 yard in from the sideline in the end zone, your kicker kicks it from so where do they kick it from? How far out? 20?
I think it's the 33-yard line now.
33-yard line.
Well, 33. I think it's 33 yards now. It's like 23-yard line. Yeah.
Okay.
But in rugby, they could be kicking it from the halfway line, right?
No, but on a try, they kick it from the same distance out all the time. It's just the angle of where they're kicking the ball from. Now that makes it interesting.
Yeah, it would. But like to take that for example, though, G, and I used to play it, back home, like fantasy rugby league, like whoever was taking the conversions and the penalties, like would be, right at the top of your fantasy position because they get all the extra points for all that stuff. So I would argue that get rid of kickers altogether and make whoever scores the touchdown kick the extra point or the field goal. That would be more interesting.
I just reckon change the angle of it, and let's just take it from there and see how they go with that. Because, mate, the extra point is the most irrelevant fucking part of football.
Yeah, that needs to be that. I'd honestly be all right if we took kickers out of real football as well. So
just kept the punters because the punters are such a big part now of turning the field. Your field position.
I think they should just do an extra play or something. Make it 2-point conversions all the time.
All or nothing.
Or nothing, yeah. Just make it a 7-point play.
Yeah,
right. Although I do like the strategy of being able to have different amounts of, that's how you get these comebacks when people go for 2 or that type of thing. You don't want to lose those aspects.
No, just change the angle.
Well, it's a nice segue into
a long detour to the
this
new team. AJ was able to quickly get off of his team. So.
Oh yeah, very quick, as quick as I possibly could. And this is Josh's one. Speaking of the Justin Tucker, and actually looking at Josh's picks all in a row here, man, he's really rolling the dice. He got Deshaun. I didn't mind Deshaun in the 9th. I mean, if the suspension comes in at anything less than a full season, which I don't know what the odds are on that, to be honest. But if it comes in anything less than a full season, he'll be laughing.
Yeah.
This is my least favorite team we've looked at, for sure.
Your least favorite?
My least favorite, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, well, DK, there's big question marks in DK.
Akers, Johnson.
CPATs.
I'd say Deontay Johnson's still without. What's he going to be without Ben? He's a target-based producer.
He's going to be better, G.
You think he's going to be better?
Yes.
Honestly?
Yeah.
You're taking the piss?
No. Did you watch any of Ben Roethlisberger's games?
Yeah, but no. The point is
that's
Ben
what he benefited from, I think.
Yeah, Ben had enough arm to get it to him. And mate, what was his target share?
Oh, pretty decent, I think.
Yeah, it's. I just don't. And Ben's smart enough to still read everything and know what's happening in front of him. I just don't know. If I'm not mistaken, Johnson's air yards and stuff it's really low. All his stats are really low for where he finished the season fantasy points wise. And that's really hard to keep up. You'd rather go and get a guy. That's one of the reasons I took Cole Kmet is the fact that he, with his numbers, he underperformed where guys such as Zach Ertz had done the same the year before, and I think there was somebody else. So it can only go up, really. Well, I feel that Deontay Johnson's sort of the reverse of that. And changing quarterbacks as well. But that's just me. I think, mate, help me out, Sean.
No, I agree. I think most plays Ben Roethlisberger was hiking the ball and then asking where is Deontay Johnson so that I don't get hit. So I think his target share was at 23%. It looks like last year.
That's pretty,
which is pretty high.
That's high.
I don't think that the target share is going to change as much as I think that. Well, I could see it changing because I could see it depends on if he changes his game to be more down the field because Mitch Trubisky to me is a much riskier take risks. He won't be checking it now in every play. He'll either be using his legs. That's another reason why I think Najee is not as exciting this year because he got a lot of those dump offs. And I think Deontay Johnson played a similar similar role. So if you think that Harris is going to lose those targets, I think that Deontay is one that could lose them as well. But there's just Pittsburgh is such a question mark this year. I don't honestly know what to expect out of Mitch Trubisky / Kenny Pickett. But again, I think you mentioned G over there. He said, Ben Roethlisberger was struggling so much that I don't know it can be worse. So to me, Deontay Johnson is just a scary prospect because if he doesn't have that safe floor of getting 10 catches a game, then you could be in trouble.
Yeah, look, I've avoided all Pittsburgh players this year, all of them. Just because of the offense. I don't think that the offensive line's not good. They didn't address the offensive line, I don't think. I don't know the quarterback situation. Najee Harris was like, for the amount of carries, he was lucky to get 3 yards of carry per carry last year. So, I just thought that's if I can avoid taking a Steeler this year, I'm more than happy just to let them all just sort of slide past and I'll look somewhere else. I'll take Falcons before them. They're saying, hey?
Wow.
Has anyone taken a Falcon yet? I guess Cordell's there. There we go.
Pitts is gone. Cordell's gone. Who else is gone?
Of course. That might be it.
Isn't it crazy that
London's gone, isn't he?
London's gone too, yes.
You think about those 2 or 3 players, and then you immediately think, "Ooh, I wonder if Desmond Ridder's gone yet." That's where we're at with the Falcons. It's. Do you think?
I still have pick 22.
Do you think
third quarterback?
Do you think Mariota's going to be the starter for the season?
I honestly, mate, I don't know. No, honestly, mate, I don't know. I think they just will.
Well, G and
I think whoever can get them to the first pick overall is going to continue to start.
Well, that's right. It's a bit weird. I think Ridder has to start pretty quickly because you've got to find out what he is. There's no risk, is there? Because if he sucks, then you get the first pick overall and you reset. The Ridder pick overall was a really strange selection. Strategically, it was a bit weird.
Yeah.
Because they're lacking so many pieces. They're clearly not competing. So, but picking a quarterback in this class and so quote unquote late, where next year they could pick a top tier guy, highly rated guy.
Maybe it's the whole point of it. They probably all know that. Look, we're going to be having a top pick next year. We're not going to be hold over the calls for taking Ridder here, and if he doesn't work out. And mate, just what happens if he does?
Yeah, but there were nice wide receivers on the board. It was third round, wasn't it, G? Third round?
Yeah, third. 74th
they could have got
overall.
a really nice wide receiver. You play Mariota this year, and you just,
We did get a really nice wide receiver. What are you talking about?
Well, that's what I mean.
Another one.
I like the pick because, Ridder was number 3 on my list. I loved him. He looks after the football. He's got good arm strength. He's very, very dangerous with his legs. You think about where Arthur Smith obviously loves him, and it's so much less pressure when you're giving a quarterback an opportunity on a rebuilding team when he's a third round pick or when he's he's not expected. I mean, look at Davis Mills. Everyone thinks, oh yeah, Davis Mills, fair enough. They're not going to worry. You're not going to put the massive pressure on him, and that gives the Texans the chance to then go build the rest of their roster, whether they freaking do that or not. It's a
win-win, isn't it, Ben? If he's half decent, it's a win-win. Where's the loss of taking him in the third round for a quarterback in this day and age where if you're not in the first, if you take him in the first round and they flunk out, you've wasted it. But anything second, third after that, Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, generally now, like after you get past that third round, you're hoping the third round guy is going to be a starter. Like that's what you're hoping, and then after that, it's like, are they even going to make the team? Fourth, fifth, and beyond. Like even fourth these days is not guaranteed that you're going to stick around for the entire length of your rookie contract. So I love the pick, and I think you've done some good business by getting rid of Matty Ryan. You've got the big Drake London pick, which is really good, and the defense is one area that I think they probably needed to look at a bit more. But next year you can go and spend some money in free agency if Ridder works out, if the other guys work out.
Yeah, it's a win-win. So we got Phoenix Rocket. Herbert.
I'm hoping Lauren awakens so I can make a pick live here. But
Come on. What time is it? Where's she based? She's based on the East Coast.
yeah, she's in Florida, I think. So she'll be
Florida.
the same time zone as me, which would be it's 9 a.m. So I would think it's time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Justin Herbert, Kirk Cousins, nice start.
She was logged in an hour and 50 minutes ago.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah. So
the time, it doesn't open up until 8 here, I think. Like they pause it. Oh no, wait. I think they just paused the timer. I think you can still make picks, right?
You can pick
still
any
make-
time.
Yeah, you still make it whenever you want. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So she would have been online just before that last pick, I reckon. I think. Oh no, she would have been on. Yeah, that's
I think
weird.
this pick was a while ago.
She's been on the clock for a while, so.
Mate, this is stalking, dude. This is just get past it.
No, it's just I just basically looked then about who was online. It gives you who's.
Yes.
And her name came up like an hour and 50 minutes ago. That's why I was looking at.
Okay. Yeah.
So
when we left his team, Aaron Jones was our favourite pick. We spoke
yes,
last
I love
time.
it. Love the value there. Yeah.
402 is just killer. Really is.
And then
Adam,
it's all downhill from there. He should have.
I wouldn't say that.
Adam
Thielen, come on. That's a good pick.
5'11", a little bit too rich. Ben, you're the Vikings guy, a bit rich at 5'11", or
No, I mean, you
No?
can't. It's funny because I always had this thing with Randy, because he's like, Thielen's got so much money in his contract, they're going to get rid of him, they're going to cut him, they're going to trade him, blah blah blah. It's like Thielen's just a great receiver. Like he's a pro. He runs the routes. He's a tough guy. Like he's probably played through injuries the last 3 or 4 seasons. And I mean, you think Kirk Cousins, he does look for Thielen in the red zone. Like that's where his value is. So if you're looking in there,
I think you wanted that stack.
Yeah, and you also, if you're taking your first wide receiver at 5'11", that's a pretty good one to have, right? You think, oh well, if he's at least going to give you a high wide receiver 2 numbers, probably.
AJ, chuck it up when you get a chance. Where he's been going, I'm interested to see where he's been going.
Oh, Thielen. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was a huge reach, in my opinion, and we were very happy because we got T. Higgins and Waddle after that.
So when you take him in the 5th and the early, that can't be right. Oh, that's that's the last lot.
Yeah,
So,
Sean. I mean, there's no way I'm taking Thielen over Higgins.
Yeah.
Okay, so the earliest is 4'11", so he's not far. He's not far off that. Almost got his name on the board.
Almost for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and the
if your name's here, I mean 10:04.
10:04, my perfect.
Yeah,
even a bit earlier than that.
Well, his ADP is, let's see, 86 divided by 12, sort of around the 702.
Okay.
I mean, I would have rather had Higgins, Waddle, Pittman, DJ Moore, Sutton, Williams, all those receivers over Thielen. But I think it's because some of it's the fatigue of just he's been there forever and he's not the new hotness and all that. But at think I'm scared. It's
These
got to happen at
injuries-
some point.
His injuries are an issue, though, Sean. Like, he has
Yeah.
missed a lot of time.
I loved Thielen in his prime. I'm afraid that this is the year it's going to fall off drastically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that page looks like it's down at the moment. So down for maintenance or something. So
Well,
I turned it off.
we've been going an hour and a half, mate. What time is it?
It's time for us to wrap it up anyway, I think.
Yes.
And
It's great to have Sean on. Thanks, Sean.
yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had fun, guys. This is cool.
And gee, I mentioned it to Chris, right? It is Chris. The coach is Chris. Commish is Sean.
Yep.
Yes.
Coach Chris, Commish. Well, see, it's another C. That doesn't really work. Coach Chris. That's how we'll remember it. But we'll get these guys on our pod sometime, G, to talk about whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before the season, I'm not doing the in-season stuff anymore. I just want to sit back and I just want to
watch
football to watch football again instead of spending the whole week analysing it.
We had talked about doing for our podcast. We want to do a mock draft. So we might be.
Oh, nice.
We might see if you guys want to join for a live mock draft.
Yeah,
We'll jump in.
I'll speak to my boss during the day. You might give me a bit of time off. Arsehole of a bloke. But all good. All right, let's wrap this one up, AJ.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, as I said, almost. Lauren, come on, drop that pick, and we'll get to the turn again, and then we'll be halfway. We're
It
about
would have been nice to at least get a couple of picks maybe while we're on air, but
we're about 5 away or whatever or 4 or 5 away from being halfway.
Yeah.
We'll do this again in a few days. Hopefully, we'll sort of be around, around 14 or so. Perhaps it'll be good. But anyway, yeah, good fun.
all right.
Thanks for
Beautiful.
joining us, and good to meet you, Sean.
Yeah, great to meet you guys too.
And
He's
we'll
got a
see
prop-
you.
got a proper
We'll see
mic
you
too.
online.
He looks
Yeah.
like a professional.
All right, see you guys.
As opposed
Thanks,
to us. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
All
Okay. Catch you later, everybody.
AJ, sleep well. Be safe.
Will do. Thanks, everyone.
Ciao,
Catch you
man.
later. See ya.